You're now sitting at the Wavetable.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 15 of the Wavetable. This episode is featuring Faro Freaks, or at least one half of Faro Freaks. Omar, how you doing?
I'm doing perfect. How about you? How is the sunshine in Australia? Or I would say it's nighttime probably there.
Yeah, it is. It's about 9 p.m. at the moment. But the last few days have been pretty good here. We've actually been getting some sunshine. Before that, it was just like raining constantly and stuff.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, because at least here, like I live in Finland, in Helsinki, and the weather here is pretty cold all the year. So, like we have been luckily this month was a bit like quite warm. But just like the last few days, it was like extreme rain. We are having jackets on already.
Jeez,
till August. Yeah, but can't complain. Like I'm originally from Egypt, so the weather is big difference. Like there's a huge difference in the weather, but yeah, it's still fun here. It's still fun.
At least at least if it's cold all the time, you kind of get used to it, right? And
I don't think so. You're welcome to try yourself, but like I every time I think like I got the hang of it, but then it's like the cold comes in and you're just under the pillow all the time. Under the sheets and like but yeah, it's still fun. Like at least the good part about it here, it's like everything is almost organized and clean and. You know, the European Scandinavian vibe, I would say, or yeah, it's pretty fun.
So tell me how you guys met and kind of how you formed Faro Freaks.
So first of all, like we were in Egypt. Me and Edri, we are friends because we live in the same town. So we already knew each other before even we started to be DJs together because he was doing gigs. He was a big organizer actually in Egypt for EDM gigs and sort of things. And I wouldn't say EDM back then. It was just like house music and tribal house and things like that. And then I was starting, I started DJing first. And basically, I found out about it. Like I used to do, I don't know if you're aware of Counter-Strike. It's this computer gaming. Yeah, okay. So me and the guys back in Egypt, we used to sit and play that. And then like in a place that's called like cyber like computer center. Like there is just a bunch of computers and we sit and play. So I started to just be like, let's put music in the background, and I used to collect the music. And then I just found out like, okay, I actually know how to put the music good together to make them sound nice. And this is where it started to kick in. I started to try to get gigs, to play live, and it kept on going until I met Edri. And he started to be like my manager. Actually, he was not DJing with me. So he managed me for quite some time. And then he moved to Finland. And then he started to DJ when he became went to Finland, and then when I moved to Finland again, like we started to DJ together. So this is simply how the idea of DJing together. But as a brand, we had several actually other brands than Faro Freaks. Faro Freaks is the latest one. So first, like at least for myself, I had a name called FIDO, which is I used to do with it EDM music. And I had some couple good releases. One was with actually one record label from over there. It's called One Love. It's Australian record label. And I had a release with Ultra Records and another. I don't like couple releases around like EDM vibey, you know, the boomy big room. And then we switched to a bit like a new disco and like nowadays it's called Jack in House, but back then it was called new disco style, which is like Croatia Squad and EDX and this type of house. So we started to create this with the name of Omar and Edri. And actually we did pretty well with it. And we started to go lots of gigs in Europe, like in Croatia, Greece, Italy, Copenhagen and Denmark and stuff like this with the name Omar and Edri. But then at some point we just had a block. Like we cannot really make this music anymore. We tried to do anything to develop it. It's not happening. So we just were like, okay, let's go back to our roots, to like what we used to actually do, which is the EDM. And this is where we created Faro Freaks. But then we went like extremely hard, like trap and like. So I would not say rhythm. We've been always stick to like hybrid trap
Yeah.
of all our releases. And then we tried to do some pop music, but it did not work. But now we're in the mid tempo and we are loving it. And it's going.
Fucking love Red Light. It's so good.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, Legend. Yeah, we always try to, as you can see, we try to combine the Middle Eastern with whatever we do. Like, I think it's really good to just put a touch of something that is like you, like where you come from or something, because this little things, it just makes you more unique in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the story.
It's cool to learn about your journey and how you pretty much started out from just like playing background music at like LAN parties or internet cafes or whatever. And then that just kind of like progressed and multiplied into all these other things. That's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun journey so far.
And yeah, I love how you like incorporate your Egyptian background into the sound of your tracks. Did that kind of just flow naturally through you, or did you feel like maybe this will be something that'll make me unique and stand out from the crowd?
Well, I like, because we used to do tracks that has like, I would not say like Western vibes, but just the regular vibe all the time. But then at some point we always thought like our track sounds nice, but it does not like it does not match with who we are. Like okay, it's fun. Like we had a couple releases that they were okay, cool. They have the melodies, they have the chords, they have everything. But then when you just listen to them and look at us, there is like nothing like standing out as a branding idea. So that's why, like with Faro Freaks, we thought like from the beginning we're gonna do a name that is like technically like we wrote it with FA, but it should be like PHA, and but it's more complicated to write the Pharaoh that proper way. So we just wrote it like this, FA, and we thought with the name, with the logo, it should be the Anubis, this like Egyptian old dog, and so the whole image, we're trying to just keep it as much as like Oriental and ethnic in a way.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I think it's definitely gonna help you stand out a lot, because I can't think of any other like acts that have an Egyptian face to them, you know?
Yeah. To be honest, like they are not like, I don't know if they are Egyptians, but they're using Egyptian like brandings and stuff like this, which is Sultan. He do pretty hard dubstep, and then Jewel also.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so both of them, they are the only two acts that uses like so much Oriental thing in their work, and I do really love how they like mix both of them together. But yeah, we're trying to do something still a bit different, not like so connected to dubstep or rhythm and sort of that. So,
yeah, you guys have like a variety of genre releases, but it's really good how you tie it all together with the Egyptian influence, and you've definitely got a sound that surpasses genres and makes sure that people know who they're listening to, even though it's a different genre each release.
Yeah, and it does not actually like takes a lot of effort to just use tiny thing from where you are from. Like even if you're from Scotland, you can always use like the bagpipes in a way that is cool. And I don't want to be like a stereotype person, but like every place has their own like thing that they could just involve somehow.
Yeah, and Aussie producers start making basses out of didgeridoos.
Yeah, like there's this guy that called Ahi, and he had this track that is made out of I don't remember what is called the instrument, but it's like this massive big like a horn thing, or like I don't know what it's called, but it's really interesting track. And here you go. You can always make something out of like the just regular instruments, and it will always work if you make it right.
Ahi is great, by the way. I've talked about him quite a few times on the podcast. If anyone hasn't checked him out, definitely recommend.
Yeah, they should. Like honestly, I figured one tip out of him. That was about Span, like the analyzer. Like he did this one video explaining it, which is I really like love it. Just how he explained how you should see frequencies and things like this, because like I heard it many times, but he explained it in a really good way. So
he really goes deep and like explains every single detail.
Yeah, true.
So when you guys first started making music together, before even Faro Freaks, just in the beginning, did you guys have trouble working together? Because I know collaborating can be like hard for a lot of people.
Well, it's really the good part about us that we are not identical of how we like think and how we act. So this was the best part, that he's not like he knows what works and what's not.
Yeah,
I'm not like this. I'm more the nerd guy. Like I'm more the guy who would sit behind the desk for hours and hours and just trying to tweak one single sound. And even though no one might notice it, but I still love to do that. And he just look at the bigger picture, like, no, this is shit. No, this will be okay. This is good. So this is why it's like good balancing for us from the beginning. It's been, even when he was just managing me for doing the gigs, it was like that. Like he would tell me, "Don't play this track ever again because it kills the vibe," and and sort of this thing. So even when we are DJing, it helps, because like for me, I would think like so technical, like what track could go with the one after. No, this does not fit. He just thinks like, okay, the people need this track right now. We need to put it. Yeah. So this is why like it's good that we are different, and I have never seen it as a like a difficult to work with him as in the production or like in the DJing as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys seem to just naturally fit well together. I think I've had collabs in the past where I'll make a sound and the other guy's like, nah, that sounds shit, and then he makes something else. And I'm like, I don't really like that one, so I make something else. And it's just like a back and forth of sound design, and we just don't really agree on the sounds. But
it's good, of course, to clash like in some ideas, as long as you're honest. Like, because many people just become shy, like to say when something is bad. They just be like, they are aware that, afraid that the other person gets offended or something. But actually, you need to be sometimes the like honest and open one in the room, because it just your track at the end of the day, so it has to sound good, or just don't put it out. So that's a good thing for you and for the other collaborators.
And speaking of good tracks, let's talk about Red Light. So,
all right,
the intro to Red Light is fucking epic, dude. Like, holy shit.
It's actually, thank you to say so. Like, it's the most one that got comments, actually, more than even the drops, which is like sort of annoying to me, because like the drop, the one that took hours and hours to be done, and the breakdown, it did take a while still, but like, but I'm still glad that the people happy with some part of that track.
Don't get me wrong, like the drop is amazing too, but I feel like I understand. I feel like it's much easier to stand out with an intro, because in a drop it's kind of like, there's going to be a kick, a snare, and sick basses. But with intros and breaks, you can do literally anything,
It's like actually this track Red Light was, in the beginning when we were making it, it was a trap track. It was 150 BPM. It was not, I think now it's 95 or 100, somewhere between. I keep forgetting tempos. But anyway, so it was on 150. It was way faster. The breakdown was the actually first thing we created. And we found like this flute, and we usually like to use these flutes and things that really stands out that they are Arabic right away.
Yeah.
It's like, it does not take a lot of effort to recognize. So we just found the flute, first of all, as a sample, and we chopped it somehow. And then we were like, okay, we need to create a track around this. And then everything started to go on with the breakdown, like one by one. But then when we switched and tried to do some mid-tempo, we slowed everything down, and it's like how you heard it at the moment.
Hell yeah. Yeah, go check it out. It's called Red Light by Faro Freaks. And
Thank you.
With the drop as well, like, I did want to talk about the drop as well. So you've got an amazing, thick, like, just the thickest of mid-tempo basses, and you've got that glitchy ear candy that it's like kind of noisy, but it's also really nice to listen to at the same time somehow. So when you're chopping and changing between so many different sounds in a drop, how do you make sure that it all flows well and it doesn't just sound like random noise?
Well, it's like the most person I would say that affected me recently to fit stuff together, which is Skrillex when he started to have this live like videos and sessions when he was creating things. And also because I heard it one time when Virtual Riot was speaking that Skrillex is one of the best people who can make any sound fit exactly where it's placed. So when I just heard this phrase and I was like, how? Some sounds, they cannot just fit like however you try to them. And then until I watched him and then I understood what he meant. So you might have a sample that does not belong there, but you make it belong there somehow. Like you just chop it, you just tune it, you change the tone. So this is what I do. This is why sometimes like I would like, I know it's better to just find a different sample, but like when I place a sample, then I try to change it. I always hear the sample there. So this is why I might spend like, I don't know, 3 hours tweaking something that lasts for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And just try to make it fit there. But then it's also like a whole image. Like you need to sometimes sit backwards and look at the whole phrase, like of the drop. How is it fitting together? If it's not, sometimes you just have to give up and be like, okay, yeah, this sound does not fit there. Let's tweak it. But yeah, this is what I would usually do is find a sound, put it there, and try to make it fit as a tonality or just how you chop it, how it's like played as a rhythm. And yeah, this is at least what I do at the moment.
Yeah, I think doing that also just helps you sound more unique because you're not just using the sample as how it originally sounded. You're chopping it up and changing it, changing the pitch, changing the texture. You're just adding your own flavor to it. So not only can you make other weird things fit into the track somehow, it also makes it more you. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Mentor. Thank you.
And that Skrillex live stream or whatever that you were talking about, I think I watched that a few months ago, and like I instantly I created a track in like a week, and it was amazing. Like that live stream just inspired me so much.
Yeah, he was. I don't remember what was it, but he had like some rap vocals in the track.
Yeah,
and the drop had like this wavy vocal loop that was going on with the bass. Like I did not catch it when he started the stream. Like I was just on Instagram, just laying, and I was like, let's see what's going on. And then I saw like Skrillex's live. I was like, shit, and just clicked it. And then I was watching it a bit, and until I think his phone battery died or something. It just in the middle of the stream, it went off. But yeah, like it was just really great to see. Like, of course, we can always admit that he's like in the top of the game.
Oh yeah.
How he is, because like it's amazing. Always his work. It's even if you don't like the track, it still sounds perfect. Like this is the thing with him, it's a bit annoying at some point. But
so let's jump back to Red Light. Was there any artists that inspired the track, like such as Rez or 1788L or anything? Yeah.
There is Blank. Blank is like one of the most I listen to at the moment. He's like it's mainly I was listening to the track that he did with Illenium. It's like they had Bipolar as well in the vocals. What was it called? Okay, I don't remember. But anyway. So it's one of the latest that just came out with Illenium, and it was like amazing, like how they had the drop, like the bass and the drop, it was massive. So my whole idea when like we switched to mid tempo, that I wanted to create this feeling of the bass, like like it's really thick in the low mid somehow, and the really high end of the sound. Like you feel like the high mid frequency is almost not so there, but everything else is so fat.
Right.
So I was just trying to recreate some kind of bass that sounds like that. and then we just ended up with the drop. This like the first drop that you hear in Red Light, which is like this uprising basis, and then the rest came after. But this was the first sound that's all created in the whole drop. So yeah, Blank, thanks to you, you're like is the one who like inspired for this track. I'd say.
It's really awesome when someone completely inspires an entire track. Like, I can remember times where there's like been like, say an excision bass or something, and that's inspired me to go make a whole track. It's amazing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, now I remember the track is called Gorgeous. Yeah. So yeah, it's honestly for me at least one of my favorites from him. Like it's one of my top tracks, even though it's not getting so like noticed as his other tracks. But for me, it's like, guys, this track is so big.
Yeah, Blank is amazing, dude.
Yeah, he is. Isn't he Australian as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your boy.
Yeah, Blank and Phase One are my boys.
Yeah.
So your guys' tunes can actually be pretty dense at times. Like sometimes there's a lot of elements going on. And so I was wondering if you guys had any tips about mixing it to be clean, yet still having each element sound good and have its own place in the mix.
So I would say it's like really depending how from the beginning you layer sounds. Like when you choose a layer, just always ask yourself why you are putting it there. This is like really number one critical point, because you could just stack a lot of sounds on top of each other and there is no need for them to be there, because like when you look at the leads, you're not only looking leads, you're looking also as like the low mid, and you're looking at like the higher like parts of the basses that you're gonna add there. It really depends also what kind of track you're making, but like if you're making something like what we do, mid tempo or maybe not hybrid, but I would say like a bit in a dubstep and sort of like the layers, the all are one thing. So let's say you just, for example, in the mid tempo, the basses that you heard, these rising ones, there are 3 layers on top of each other, and then there's 2 basses under them. So when we are layering, we wanted one that is really resonating in the high frequency, that is really screaming, sort of like a screech sound. And then there's one in the mid just to make your ears don't hurt because you only hear high frequency. And then there was one a bit lower just to fill them together. So sort of, and they should not all be saws. Like try to always keep this in mind. Like if you put like a saw wave everywhere, it's just going to sound like similar in a way.
Yeah.
Try to put something that is so different, a different really wavetable that has weird things going on. And this is how we always think, because we are not at this level yet as in sound design that we create the sound from scratch ourselves, honestly. We are just like, we would take something that is made by Sematics or whatever, and we just keep on tweaking them or layering them until they sound different. So this is at least what we do. We would just take layers and we'd be like, why we want this sound there? And we always make sure that, okay, we need it. And if you just felt for a second you don't need this sound there, then you actually don't. So this is how I would say, even in the bass, it's the same story. The drums, everything. It's like a sound you feel, there's no need. The drum sounds already good. You don't have to have 10 snares on top of each other. You could just have one that is really made actually well from the beginning. So, and it will be pretty enough.
Cool. Yeah. I think another thing to add on to that is if you feel like you've got too much going on, then do the mute test. Just mute a track and play the song without that track. And if you don't recognize that it's missing, then just delete it.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. Like I haven't tried it honestly myself, but like it is true. Give it up for the people. Now they have a new one to have ahead.
Since you brought up like Cymatics presets and stuff, I wanted to get your opinion on the whole presets versus doing your own sound design thing. Because I know some people think that using presets kind of ruins the authenticity of a track. And I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
Yeah, well, I always say this even for some people when I like tell them about music production or I give tips or anything. Like, this is why samples and presets are created. Like, this is why when you like there's millions and millions of money spent on this factor just to help you. They did not require you to use them as they are, even though if you just use them as they are, it's all about the concept. Like, you could have the same bank and I could have it and I cannot create anything with it. And with what you can create is something amazing. So I'm not really against using samples or using presets. And even like if you think someone of really great like sound designer at the moment, like Quicks or something like that. So at the beginning, he said that even one time that he was using like cymatic stuff and tweaking them until he just makes them sounds a bit different. And now he is at the moment like one of the best who's creating sounds and so on. So I don't see something really against that, because if you, let's say you really don't know how to create a sound that you hear in your ears, but you know another like preset that sounds really similar. So why just, it's good of course to learn and to develop and so all of that, but like I would say, well, just do something at the moment, like take the sound, maybe analyze it, do reverse engineer, learn how it was built from the beginning, but still it's not a bad thing if you just use the preset that is there.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. I totally agree. And I've kind of noticed a trend lately of people saying similar things to what you just said. Whereas if you took it to maybe like 2-3 years ago, everyone was like, fuck presets, you got to do your own sound design. And I'm just glad that it's kind of shifting towards presets are okay, just try to make them your own somehow. Because ultimately, like, using presets is just it's gonna teach people how to sound design, because they're gonna like reverse engineer and stuff, and it's gonna allow people to express their creativity more easily. Like you said, if there's a specific sound but you don't know how to make it, then there's presets for that. So yeah, exactly.
And it's like, how do I say? I'm trying to get it in a nice way that does not sound like a douchey or anything. Like, because like this is why they are there. Like there must be a point to them. And you might think that like the biggest artist you ever known that they don't use presets, while actually most of their tracks is made out of presets. Like Avicii was like, rest in peace. All his tracks is just like Nexus. And then, like, when you look at Marshmello at the beginning, most of his, or maybe until now, some of his stuff, it's like Nexus. It's this is why, like I say, there is no like bad thing to just use them, and they're like really great artists. I don't like say, nah, they are bad. You need to be someone like Skrillex or a Virtual Riot, like a god of Serum or something like this to just be good. No, a good artist is good artist. So there is nothing against that. So yeah.
Hell yeah. Good art is good art. That's for sure. So have you guys ever made any other kind of music, like before you started making EDM? Were you into like guitar or piano or anything like that?
No, actually, like before we start production at all, we have never touched any instrument. Like at the moment, actually, I'm learning how to play piano. Like it's frustrating to learn it on a late age, but you can always make it. But like I'm using this musician. It's really really great app, honestly. Like shout out to them. But like this is at the moment I'm trying to develop more how to play piano. But at least like I read lots of books about music theory, at least at the beginning, because I like when we started to make music, our melody sounded just weird and we never knew why. And like back then the tutorials were not like that big, so to find a really good accurate tutorial, it takes you a lot of time. So we just were like, okay, let's get some couple books from Amazon or something and read what is like how to write melodies and how to write those things, and we start one by one to build our knowledge from like scratch. But nothing before our first production.
Cool. And even though tutorials are massive now, I find that books are way more focused. Like, if you want to learn something and you buy a book about it, then you're going to fucking learn it. But if you want to learn something and you go to YouTube, then you'll learn like bits and pieces over the course of the next 3 years until you finally like piece it all together.
It like part of it is true because like you just need to know what you're looking for. Like this is the issue about like the tutorials, that if you know what is the actual phrase or like that, what do you need? Like how to read frequencies, how to stereo image, how this and that. And then like you start to look it up, you're gonna find probably some decent stuff. Nowadays, everyone is trying to push it to buy courses online and things like this. But otherwise, like still there's really, really good tutorials over there. But yeah, with the books, because they are just like, let's say, a couple hundred pages of this, they don't have something else to discuss. They cannot just be in the middle of the video like, but click here to subscribe. No, it's a book. You already bought it. So you're just gonna like be straight to the point. And honestly, like from the books, like there was two books I remember. One of them called Dance Music Manual, and this other one called Music Theory for Computer Musicians. Those are the most ones that were like really, really useful to me, and I got almost all the foundation out of them, about the mixing and frequencies and so on.
I'm actually really glad you brought those books up, because I've had them on my like to read list for a while, and then but I didn't read much until recently, until like after lockdown started. But by then I'd completely forgotten the names of those books. So I'm really glad you brought that up, so I can go order them on Amazon now.
I would say that Dance Music Manual, because they keep re-editing the editions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when I read it, I think it was the second edition. Now there is fourth. So this was the best part, because sometimes you read a book and it's talking about like a track that is made, I don't know, in the 80s. And you'd be like, no one uses this anymore. Like there's way more advanced stuff. So like it was good that they're making new editions. I did not read the latest ones, but I assume that it's gonna have more like DAW based information. Not just talking about the tapes and sort of the analog type of work.
Yeah, that's sick, man. It's good that they're keeping up with the times, because, I agree. I feel like a lot of books just get released and then they're forgotten about, because, you can't update a book without re-releasing a new edition.
Yeah.
So did you guys learn like a lot of mixing and mastering stuff from those books, or was it mainly music theory?
Well, from the books, honestly, they taught us the basics. Like I understood. The only thing I didn't understood from the book still was the compressor, like what it actually does. This is like it's there, it's explaining, but like the compressor is one of the most things that you need to hear it to understand, or at least for me. I had to hear it. I had to see the wave changing, so I would understand because I understood it on the drums. Like, okay, that was an easy to understand compressors on drums, but I never understood it on something that has a long, like sustained note or a sustained like sound. So like, because on the piano, I was like, well, then what's the point if you are trying to like increase the body or increase the attack, or sort of how are you going to do it on a really long note? And then with using it too much, then I start to understand. So I would say with the mixing from the books, I had the fundamentals, but like to have more accurate ideas and stuff like this, I had to watch tutorials and try myself for several years to understand some stuff.
Yeah, compression is that's probably the most like mysterious thing in music production. I only really learned what compression did like a year ago or something. I only fully understood it like a year ago, and I've been producing for like 6 or 7 years.
It's because like also lots of the compressors nowadays, like the OTT or things like this, all you know that you just put them and they work, but you don't actually know what they are doing to the sound. And I would say that compressors is one of the things that once you figure out how to accurately use them and when to use them and when not to use them, you're gonna actually go into a whole new level of mixing like sound of how to make things tighter and how to make things like sounding not too squashed, but still sounds so clean and things like that. So just my recommendation, don't use it really if you don't know what it's doing.
Yeah. And once I found out what a compressor really did, I found that I used a compressor less. So
yeah,
if anyone out there is like having people tell them that their tracks sound too compressed, then like really try to dive deep and figure out what the hell a compressor actually does. So it helps you a lot.
True. Because like if I would just finally add thing to this, it's like nowadays most of the samples, most of the presets that comes, they are already. If you're gonna be based on samples and presets, they are already almost ready to be used as they are. You don't need. You might actually have a full track. Just all you need to do is balancing and EQing to it, and it's gonna be ready to be released because everything is already too compressed, too distorted, too ready for your like press and play. So yeah, this is the final thing I would say, that try to just make a track without even putting any compressors, only EQ the frequencies you don't need, level it correctly and use some reverbs and things like that, but that's it.
Hell yeah. Dude, it is my dream to one day release a track that doesn't need any mixing besides leveling and EQ. That would be amazing.
Well, just try it. Like I would say, at least in the pop releases and the hip hop, at the moment you can really do that so easily that you could just record the instruments as they are, and of course, you would put for a guitar like some amp, or like for a piano you might put reverbs and so on. But I would just say that even try it in the electronic stuff, like, because if you're using samples like cymatics and using other samples like, I don't know, wherever you use them, but they probably sounds already pretty good. Or you just need to stack things correctly and listen to the track. Like, just do it as an experiment. One track, nothing as from compressors on or distortion, and just see. It might work, it might not, but it's a good experience at least.
Yeah, good experiment for sure. And since we're on the topic of compression, I wanted to jump into the mastering side of things. Do you guys master your own tracks?
Yeah, so far we have been, like, most of the releases we have on Spotify is mastered by us. Only the like 3 first releases, like one called Bizarre and one called Mo Salah, and then the third one, She Wants a Man. Those ones, like, we did not master it. It was from the label, but most of the other ones, we did master ourselves.
Awesome. When you're mastering, do you take into consideration the loudness normalization for like Spotify and Apple compared to SoundCloud, where it's just the wild, wild west?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good phrase, dude. Well, to be honest, like, we haven't been doing that, but like, I'm thinking at least that we should start to do that from now on, because like, I heard some inside news that Spotify might even just like have harder limiters on the track. Like, they already have, but like that they might even make stuff sounds a little bit like quieter if they really like, if like they already have their level of loudness. I don't think they're gonna turn everything quieter, but I think they're just gonna have it like that. If anything touches it, gonna really ruin the song. Like, if you don't have an accurate measure, like cloves and so on. So like, I started to think that maybe I will start to have 2 type of mastering, like one for Spotify and then Apple, and one of just like for the live gigs and SoundCloud and so on. And because like, so far all the tracks we master them as loud as we can go. And sometimes some tracks we were like, okay, no, let's not push it too much because it starts to sound bad. Like, there is this one track that before Red Light was called Fox, like FXXKS. And this one, we pushed it. It was for almost like minus 3.9 or minus 4 loves. And then we are like, we don't need it this much loud because it starts to sound really like compressed.
Yeah.
And we just took it down like to minus 5.5, or like, I think so. And then like, everyone was so happy with the mastering more. They were like, you can hear the track is breathing, coming back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's not just to your ears like all the time, like, so it was like nowadays I'm thinking to master more in ways that things are not that loud, because all the streams is coming from Spotify, and at the moment there's no live gigs, so you really don't need that loud frequencies much at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually wondering if Spotify already started to do that like quietening thing, because my most recent EP, I actually feel like it sounds quieter than some of the tracks that I've kind of like compared it to, even though it's mastered to -3 to between -3 and -4 LUFS.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a playlist that had one of my tracks on it, and when my track came on, I was like, this is so much quieter. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is. It is because you will never know, like, also what kind of, you can see from like ozone and sort of these things, like what you're gonna lose when things are compressed and when things are like exported into MP3, then wave, and all of these things. But it's still, when it comes to the real life, you don't know exactly what is the like the equipments they have over there, how is they gonna actually affect. So I will always say better safe than sorry. Like, just to take care of your track by yourself, rather than just expecting that their equipments will make your track sound still acceptable, and it might just be squashed and then everything is like sounding bad, and you cannot change that anymore. So
I think I'm probably going to start like doing less limiting and less clipping, or at least I might keep doing what I'm doing, but only up that version to SoundCloud and then make a different one for Spotify. I don't know.
Yeah, you could always try to do that, like especially if you're like in control to like choose what to be uploaded where. Because some labels, they just like, you would send them one thing and they are just like, it's good enough. We are happy with one file and we can upload it everywhere. But if you can take control of what get uploaded where, I would just rather say right away control that. Because even like we go back to Skrillex, since really back in the days when he was doing like what was a Song of the Year and all of these things, he used to have different type of mastering. And I don't know if people, I don't know if many people notice that, but if you download some, like even if you just render the YouTube song, for example, the video, you're gonna see more dynamics than the ones that is released like separately, that they are more squashed. And so he's been always doing that, and you can notice it even now on a Spotify when you hear his songs and you hear his live things. It's more loud somewhere else and it's more quieter here, and you can hear also the dynamics difference. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I would recommend to do that if you have the ability to do.
Hell yeah. Fucking Skrillex, man, always ahead of the game in some way.
Yeah, he is who he is. Like, it would be a pleasure just to sit and talk with him for 5 minutes. To be like, what are you? Yeah.
So, speaking of being ahead of the game, I've got one final question for you, because we're going to wrap up here soon.
Yeah. Let's see.
This might be the hardest question of the podcast, or it might be the easiest one. So,
let's see.
If you could go back in time and give yourself one tip for when you first started producing, what would it be?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty. Like, there would be 2 tips, to be honest, that I would give myself, because they are really like what I'm struggling at the moment. Number 1 is like, just do music and don't have to like detail too much. Like you would spend too much time just creating things that is really not necessary, trying to focus on things that is really like, it's useful, like sort of get so deep into mixing, but you're a producer, so focus more as developing yourself as a producer. And number 2, which is I would be like focused on one style, at least. Like I would develop myself in just one genre for so long and try to make everything around it to make it work. So like I know many artists at the moment, they have changed their genre, but they had a base at the beginning. Like I don't know if you pick any artist, he used to do something at the beginning and then he switched. And like, let's say Martin Garrix, for example, he started doing EDM and then he switched to like a bit future bass and then some pop things, but he's back to EDM. He always have a home to go back to. So this is why I would have said that I would have rather to just do something, develop myself in it so much, and that just be this in my home. I can experience around, but always come back to it, because like, at least I see it this way, that it just gives you a bigger like knowledge into one thing specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's bits of advice you can take from other genres and apply it to your main genre, but definitely definitely if you know there's a genre you want to make, just stick to it. Because when I started out, I was like, I want to make dubstep, and then I'm like, okay, this shit's too hard. I don't know how to sound design. I'm going to go make other stuff. I'm not going to say other genres, because then people will say those genres are simpler than dubstep or something. But yeah.
But it's a bit like it's good to experience, of course, and because every genre is going to give you some knowledge in some specific area. But like, it's always good that you are known with something. Yeah. This is like, look at all the main artists. They are known with something that they are like, maybe some of them, they even say they have created it, even if they did not. But like, they are like, once you say this name, he's connected to that style. So this is a really, really hard thing to achieve after you come a long way already on like your work, and your work is released. So yeah, this would be the only one thing I would say.
Hell yeah, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up here?
Well, I just say this because like I always tell it, like, I don't know if you're aware, like I have this YouTube channel that I'm also teaching music, like having music production and stuff like that, but it's in Arabic. So because like it's there's a lot of lacking for quality tutorials in Arabic. But anyway, so I always say this there, like, for any artist, big or small, just collaborate with each other more. This is what my biggest advice for everyone, because you don't have to be like the other one is going to provide more than you, and like or the track is like amazing. No, you still sometimes you need to put like 50% in the way, and like it's 50-50 thing. It does not always have to be like one-sided thing. Like he needs me, he needs to put more, or the track needs to be amazing. No, just collaborate more together and try to help each other with knowledge. That's all I would say.
Awesome. And that's really cool that you're teaching music production in Arabic, dude. Like, I really respect that. Because I see all these like English tutorials, and I'm like, man, I wonder if these tutorials exist in other languages. And I guess, like you said, there's just not that many, right?
Yeah, it's like, because there's loads, there's almost in every like topic you're gonna find an English language. But like when you come to your own home language, like let's say for like, again, I would say the names, the Sultan and Jewel. Like I think they are Middle Eastern from how they sound when they talk in their tutorials. So like they have a really great knowledge, but they are also saying it in English. So you can have lots of tutorials about dubstep in English, but you have none in Arabic. So that's why I was like, I will try to at least do it, and started to just give all the knowledge as much as I can that is given in English, but in Arabic language, so I can help everyone just in the whole Middle East, not only Egypt, to have similar knowledge somehow. I'm still learning myself, of course, but at least I'm going to give what I know at the moment. So,
hell yeah. Respect, dude.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for joining me. That was
Thank you so much for having
Omar.
me.
No worries, dude. Omar, one half of Faro Freaks. Go check out Faro Freaks. Their most recent release was Red Light. Sorry. There'll be a link in the description, and I'll also put a link to Omar's channel in case there's any Arabic speakers who want to learn music in Arabic. So, yeah, man. Thanks again for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on.
Yes, same here. Thank you, legend.
Peace, guys.
Peace.